And welcome to PM Express. And guess what? We are assessing government from the pulpit. Oh yes, from the pulpit, not from any political divide, which should have been the usual. You take one from the opposition, or take one from the ruling government, and we assess government, and we banter, and we fight, and we argue to no end. But you know, one sector of society in Ghana who really have a hold on the masses, if I may call them, are the clergymen. Sundays, at least, or 2-3 times in a week, we worship, we go, we pray, and they have a hold on society. They hear what the church members say, and they have an influence on what the church also say. However, it's very, very dangerous for a man of God to stand in the pulpit and praise or condemn a government without being labeled. So all too often, they seem to stay in their corner as if to say they are not part of society, but they are. And if they have access to all these people and they have feelings and they feel whether things are right or wrong, what are their views and how is it that we get them to participate in, daily governance and make sure that the governance is right? And that's what we are going to do today. So today we are looking at governance from the pulpit. My name is Nana Ansakwa, the fourth Chief of Akwamua Dumasa, and your host. When I come back, I have two religious heavyweights to assess government. You really don't want to touch that remote control. Coming straight back. Well, thank you very much for staying. Sat right next to me, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opunifrimpong, General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana. Reverend, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And the happy birthday boy himself. And I'll say thank you because we dragged him out from his holiday mood straight into studio for God and country. Bishop Samuel Mensah, leader of Full Gospel Church International. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Nana. Thank you very much.
Looking younger and fresher and brighter. Must be something in the word. Thank you. Actually, and I'll start with you, Bishop Mensah. How, as a religious leader, you have to be apolitical. Mm-hmm. Being apolitical, you should be able to also point out that, let's say, one district, one factory is right, and maybe Delta forces are wrong. Mm-hmm. How are you able to say these things without your congregation, those who are for and against, saying, well, if he's criticizing Delta Force, then I'm not happy to come to church. And if he's praising Delta Forces, then, how should you do it and how do you go about it?
Well, I think by and large, if the minister has stayed on track and he has been neutral as much as possible, the people definitely will know where he stands. Typically, the pastor should be political but not partisan. Mm. He should be involved in the governance process because, by and large, by our statistics, 75% of the people are Christians. And if they are, according to our statistics, it means policies of government definitely affects our people and, by extension, affects church members. Therefore, a pastor should be actively involved in the well-being of the people. As a matter of fact, governments are established to promote the well-being of the people and the well-being of society. Hence, the pastor should seek the well-being of the people and, by extension, address issues that affect the ordinary man on the street.
Reverend, that's the same question. I mean, how? And I think even more so for you because you are the General Secretary. You have to cross carpet from Presby to Methodist to So how are you able to get up and say nope, this is wrong, or yes, this is right, without some churches thinking that, well, there we go, he's joined the NDC party?
Yeah, let me first say good evening to those who have allowed us to enter into their bedrooms and their halls. And say that, the issue you've raised is very important issue, knowing the numbers, the Christian numbers in this country. The real issue for us is how do we position religion, and especially the churches, in such a way that they will make significant contribution to our national development. That religion, in fact, not only Christianity, all religions in Ghana, but because of our conversation, how do we position Christianity in Ghana in such a way that it facilitates our national development? Now, I coordinate about 31 churches in Ghana. That's the Christian Council of Ghana. We have 31 member churches. Churches like the Methodist Church, Presbyterian Church, Anglican, Baptist, EP, Salvation Army, and more. And this period, this August, most of them are having their annual meeting. They give them different names. I have been to the Presbyterian Church of Ghana's General Assembly at Abetifi. I've been to a Ghana Baptist Convention. They are still there. They will end tomorrow. I've been to YIPI, Evangelical Presbyterian. They are meeting at Trinity Theological Seminary. They will end on coming Sunday, and others. And all of them, while they are discussing their missionary activities, are also discussing national issues. All of them. In fact, two of them, the president of our land was able to be there. He was at the Abetifi. I listened to him. And yesterday he was at the YIPI meeting. I listened to him. All of them, all the churches are discussing national issues. Why? Because the people that are in the churches are the same people who are in the societies. Education, health, market, safety on our roads, security, all these things affect them. And if the church wants to be relevant, the things that affect the people must be important to us. Of course, like you said, sometimes today they say you are NDC, another time they say you are NPP. But we must be sincere to ourselves, hold objectivity, and do what will make the church relevant. So yes, that's for the attacks, the accusation. We always face them, but we must be sincere to ourselves and just be there for God and country.
Good. So now the stage is set. Now we can definitely assess government from the pulpit, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So I'll stay with you, Dr. Opunifrimpo. Since you were there and you heard the president speak, one of the things he mentioned was that the churches were paying too much attention to tertiary education, and that the basic and probably the preschool, if the attention went there, would probably be a good idea. I mean, do you support that assertion, or what are your views to that?
Oh, yeah, yes. I was in the room when the president made that statement, and I shared that idea with him. In fact, I believe the constituency I represent, that direction is not new to us. If you trace the history of education in this country, especially the churches that started education initially, targeted the children, the philosophy of train the heart, the hand, and the heart. And the churches even use their chapels. So even still today, you go to some communities and the church, the cathedral, is also classroom. So class 1 is this side, class 2, class 3, that kind of thing. So you catch them young. So you realize that we spread primary education everywhere. And of course, the churches went to secondary education. We have had challenges over the years, the partnership between the church and the state, to the extent that sometimes the churches feel that government are not only one government, but all of them are not giving us the due respect and the recognition. And so now it's like some of the churches are now moving into more private education. And now it's not safe being in the primary, the secondary. So people are going to tertiary education, and now because we don't want to partner with government because of some level of disrespect and all that. But the issue the president raised yesterday to me was very important. But it should also not just be a public statement that the president makes. It seems to me there must be an engagement. The president and the government must engage the churches that this is a need. In fact, in the 1950s, that is how it was done. That's how we happen to have what we call government-assisted schools. There was a real engagement that we want you to go this way. Government will do this to support you. And with the statement the president made yesterday, I pray and hope that we will formalize it. That the president will, not necessarily the president, but his ministers, anybody he assigned, will engage the churches. That government will want to spend much attention, at least at the basic level. And that is the role we want you, the churches, to play. Government will assist you this way for you to meet this need. You know, we hold a position that religion must facilitate national development, and especially with the spread of the churches. One area that the churches must still serve a need is education at the basic level, but there must be some proper engagement, because some of the churches have a painful experience that the experience we have had with Ghana Education Service and Ministry of Education over the years is becoming a very discouraging. And if we don't do things differently, now churches are not very much excited going to some of this thing. Now all the churches, even if they are setting up schools, they want it to be private school. They don't want to partner with government. And I'm happy that the president is getting the churches on board, but it must be properly formalized.
Bishop, I mean, it's been 8 months since new government, what's been your view so far? You know, disappointing, okay, fair, doing well? You know, what would be your fair assessment of it? Even though maybe it must be too short a time, but
well, indeed, 8 months would be too short a time. But I think the premise for which I will build on this is real leadership is not determined by how much power you have, but how much you empower people. And it is also not determined by the people who serve you, but how much you serve others and you seek their well-being and their development. And one of the basic principles that any president, and for that matter, any government or leader should do is, first of all, to cast a vision as to where they want to take the country to or take the people to. And I think, by and large, this president and this government has done quite well in terms of the vision they have cast for the people. We are talking about the one dam, one factory, one district, the free SHS, $1 million to one constituency, and also one factory, one district. These are real visionary, indicators that inspire and encourage people. And so the starting point for any system and any organization is vision, and for me, that is what the government has done. It is audacious, it's big enough, and that defines what real vision is. So that is great. As a matter of fact, it is that vision that, for me, brought them into power. Because one time a nephew of mine, 12 years, was, I've been taking care of him, and he said, Uncle, you know what, very soon you wouldn't be paying my school fees. And I said, what? He said, Nana Akufoado's free SHS would kick off. And this is just a 12-year kid. So even children caught the vision. So that inspires a group, that inspires a nation, that gives a people hope. So that is great. But now you need to give that vision legs. You need to give the vision the wings to fly. You need to get people that will, the right people to drive that vision. So I would say that this is great. It's a good takeoff.
Also, free education, since you control a group who have a lot of schools under your belt, give and take, consultation-wise, actually, but no, before we come to consultation, I'll take your brief assessment of what you also see, your pros and cons, and then before we go to consultation.
If we pick sector by sector, the conversation will be more fair. There are minuses and there are pluses. Wherever you go, if you go into, say, health, yes, government has made effort in settling the some of the outstanding bill on national health insurance. But we still have nurses who are always picketing the Ministry of Health. We have medical doctors who have finished their housemanship who are still in the house. Wherever you go into the mining sector, Galamsey fight, excellent. But what is happening in Nyinahini is worrying. What is happening? You go into vigilante thing, and if you are still hearing Delta Falls and that kind of thing, and it's like if you can fight and somebody will listen to you, if you are not. So depending on the sectors that you go. But if even you come to education, free SHS, we hear September, super. But over the years, there have been some key stakeholders in education, all student association, PTAs, traditional leaders, religious leaders. They have all played key role in education in Ghana. And now, if I hear free SHS, I ask myself, yes, government is paying for tuition, administration, feeding, infrastructure. What will be the role of PTA? What will be the role of the churches and Muslims? Muslims also have schools, Tia, Ahmadiyya, and others. What will be the role of traditional leaders? Prempeh College belongs to Menchia, Presby, and Methodists. What will be the role of traditional leaders? So far, all people are excited, like the 12-year-old. People are excited, free SHS. But there must be serious engagement with all stakeholders. I have not been hearing that. In terms of accountability, because when I was paying, say, school fees, I could go to the school and demand accountability from the school. Headmistress, headmasters, I have chaired Prempeh College board as board chairman. You will have to call PTA, you have to call all students. They show much interest in the running of the school. Now, if free, where will the All Student Association be? And somebody must be engaging all student association. Somebody must be engaging PTA that now, even though either they are going to pay something, extra classes or what. You see, now we've left all those things, and it's like government is going to do everything. And then that will open another door in terms of accountability, because when parents were paying fees, all students were contributing, they were all showing interest in the schools. Now, if you tell me, I'm not sure, because of what I do, if such meetings have been done, I might have had opportunity to be there. If you are not calling anybody to a meeting, and all that you hear is, wait, September is coming, how are you going to sustain other people who have shown interest over the years? I will want to use your platform to call on the Ministry of Education that as a matter of urgency, there must be serious engagement with all stakeholders. Not only accountability, but quality of education. You see, when we were all involved, it was a collective responsibility, because if my ward school is not doing well, PTA will come in, all students will come in, traditional leaders, all of us, church leaders will come in. Now, if they are not doing well, do you still want us to go in and demand quality? Or now it's only government? So what is your stake in it? You see, we should not assume anything. We must go back to the drawing board and plan this kind of thing, and plan it very well. And government must, now people are so excited. We must manage the public interest very well, else we'll get to a point, and all those we need, who over the years have been supporting and assisting. You go to some of the schools, all students have constructed clinics, all students have been buying vehicles, painting, and all that. Now, if all these people withdraw, what is going to happen?
What's going to happen? And I'll take a quick break, and like I told you, it's going to be interesting. This is looking at the government, at the nation, right from the pulpit. Don't move. Thank you very much. Assessing government from the pulpit. Very interesting. I have with me in studio Reverend Dr. Opini Frimpong, General Secretary of Christian Council, and then I have Bishop Samuel Mensah, leader of Full Gospel Church International. And I'm going straight to Bishop Mensah with regards to engaging stakeholders. I mean, I'm government. I'm doing free education. Look, September, take your kids to school free. I mean, is there anything more that I should do take your school to, take your kids to school.
You know, Nana, you can't cast a vision without engaging the people that the vision will affect, because they play a very critical role if that vision will have to be sustained and if that vision has to be implemented. And so the concept of the free SHS is great. It's going to take place in September, but the point is that there are stakeholders. The PTA people, as the General Secretary said, we are talking of the community, we are talking of all students association. There should have been a consultative assembly so that you will engage their input. What exactly would they suggest to enrich the process of the implementation of the free SHS? If you disconnect them, government alone cannot succeed in any way. The idea may be brilliant, but its implementation will have serious challenges and repercussions, because the moment you disconnect the people that the policy will affect, the vision will affect, naturally you can never succeed at the end of the day. So engaging the people, for me, is key. And I think we should all use this platform to encourage the Minister of Education to engage all stakeholders. We should get to the stage where the community should take ownership of our schools. There should be less control from Accra, so that we should move to the system where the community and the district can employ teachers and fire teachers and hold them responsible for quality education. That should be the way forward for all of us.
Now, production, if you have my pictures of the cows on Kanda High Road, let me have it. And Bishop, I was driving this afternoon on the Kanda Highway, and I just realized that it's now become literally a cattle ranch, where people have just taken sector by sector, and there's just cattle. And a tipper truck has just arrived and tipped, half a tipper truck load of cassava for the cattle. So as you can see on the screen, wow. And I missed so many of the pictures, but I mean, just on the Kanda High Road, in discipline. This truck was offloading plantain and cassava for the cow and sheep and goat and stuff. And this is Kanda High Road behind. What do we do?
21st century Ghana, this is unacceptable. This is just not good for a developed nation. In this modern world, I think that government should ensure indiscipline is at its highest peak. And we should be able to empower our law enforcement agency. Give them the necessary authority. They have the authority by law, but the interference of government, the interference of political leaders are always hampering their effectiveness. But again, I think they should enforce the law. They are the only institution mandated by the Constitution to ensure there is law and order. And so I think if we find this in discipline and what is going on, our police must rise up to make sure that we can. And of course, we must also engage society. And again, I keep saying, over the years, governance was only built on the private sector and the public sector. But it's like a table with four legs. The religious sector and the traditional sector must play an active role in the governance process. Government alone cannot succeed with only private sector and public sector. So if they should engage the religious group, then I think the religious group should also come on board and start having a campaign against indiscipline. Let's partner with the police. Let's partner with the Minister of Interior Affairs, and then launch a campaign against indiscipline. That is the only process when we all take ownership, we can deal with this canker.
So, yeah, I mean, this is Kanda High Road. This is this evening. I mean, this is this evening.
It's just one example. Open defecation. Now, cholera and things that should not worry us are worrying us.
Sanitation is a problem.
Sanitation is a problem. People are driving through red light. And this NPP government under President Kufuor, whether we spend time to evaluate it or not, but whatever be the case, because of public indiscipline, among the ministries they set up, at least we had a ministry for national orientation. Why the current MPP administration, with all these challenges, sanitation, open defecation, abusive language in our media, and all that, including even the destruction of water bodies and all that, why the current administration has not considered national orientation and attitudinal change as a major issue that must be addressed is a worry to me. Yes, we must enforce law, but we must intensify public education, like he said. And we must even start some of these things in our elementary basic schools, working towards the next generation of ideas, that we should have sense of shame for certain things. Before even you bring law enforcement agencies, we live with our conscience that certain things are unacceptable.
So, but can the church play part?
We can, but somebody must give leadership. Somebody must give leadership. And that's why I'm saying that under President Kufuor, when they were appointing and establishing ministries, we have national orientation ministry.
So I think a president can engage the churches.
So if even we are not going to have a minister of national orientation, there must be a program. There must be a program. Like yesterday, the president is calling on the churches that give attention to basic education. Can we have a program, that government is saying, like we are doing with the Galamsey? You see, it was an initiative of the government. Media coalition and everybody is on board, religious leaders. But now look at what the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, and he deserves commendation. It's only the Nyinahini thing that now he and the Ashanti Regional Minister, they are conflicting. If the man has licenses, allow him to do his job. If he doesn't have licenses, then also apply the law. But now you have this minister saying he can continue, another minister saying he can't continue. But the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, to me, is doing very well. If I have to give award, he's my best minister so far. But, that is initiative of government. If government consider attitudinal change, national orientation as a priority, there can be a program that all of us will be rolled in.
Let me bring Bishop Samuel in here. And I'm bringing you here because I have about 2 of your tapes, listened to you, and I've even questioned you, a couple of times. How is it possible that you preach a whole sermon about people should drive, obey traffic lights, allow somebody to drive? I mean, there's no government policy, but you do it.
Yeah.
So if other people replicated it, maybe, do we need a direction? I don't know if you've had any direction to do that.
No, well, I didn't have direction, but I believed I have a responsibility to God and country. And I strongly think that the churches can go beyond just preaching spirituality and to ensure that as human beings, we are both spirit and physical. And so we live on planet Earth, and we have responsibility to God and country. And so I believe that sometimes I keep saying we must redefine our message, and it should be much more relevant to the issues of our nation and to issues of national life and development of humanity. Therefore, we should go beyond just what we preach and asking people that they will go to heaven, but also tell them what is also their responsibility to the society, their responsibility to the community. But I think as a Christian community, Christian Council, Ghana Pentecostal Council, and all other Christian bodies, we can come up with a one voice and also engage government that this is what we must begin to experience. This attitudinal change, we have called for it for a very long time.
Can the Christian Council lead?
We can. You can. But some of these things, you need leadership, like the Galamsey thing. It's not some individuals who are sitting somewhere who are just making noise. For instance, when you go into, say, people driving through red lights, now it's like anybody who can afford a brand new Land Cruiser
with the hazard braking,
with tinted glass, with hazard, can do anything on our road, can drive through, and sometimes the police will stand and watch. You don't know who is inside, whether the person is a good person or an armed robber or whatever. The mere fact that you drive a nice V8 and is tainted and you have a hazard, everybody must give way. Now this, you don't expect church people to do. There's little you can do. But if you have a government that is saying that whether you are my minister or whoever you are my party chairman, whoever, you dare not, then the civil society groups will be encouraged, will be strengthened to sustain it. But if the government itself and your ministers, now we don't know, those who are driving, whether they are members of parliament or ministers. Now, if we have a system that leaders or those who are in those vehicles are so in not disciplined, how do you go to the little ones? How do you talk to them? Who is owing these cows that you just showed to us? If it's a constituency chairman or somebody, influential person in political party, what do you do? But if you have a government like the Galamsey, now we don't know, sometimes you hear that some people are still doing it. But now the way they are going about it, whether you are party A, party B, you are whoever, stop. Then civil society group like the media coalition can sustain it. That's why I keep saying that the government must consider that as an area of need.
Government taking leadership.
Take initiative, then all of us can sustain it.
Let me take my final break, and then when I come back, one big question of winner takes all. Can you ever, is there any nation in this world that was built up on winner takes all? So at least we can take their blueprint and say, look, America did it, UK did it, or Germany did it, and therefore we are going to practice winner takes all, and we are also going to do it. Stay tuned. Well, thank you very much for staying. And as I said, when we come back with the last 15 minutes, we are looking at a winner takes all. I wonder how it is that the preacher man can, I don't know whether you convince the congregation to say, listen, it's never going to work. A winner takes all means that, you know, two parties, everybody finds their money, guns for the political seat, and then once they get it, everything. One thing I don't understand is the NADMO boss. I mean, this is a man who, when it rains and it floods, he decides whether you get a raincoat or not. Even him is chosen by the president. Now, that's what I call winner takes all. Now, Honorable Alban Sumani Babin puts it really nicely, because a journalist approached him and said, oh, Mr. Babin, you know, this winner takes all thing, you think, well, I don't think it's right. He says, well, if you're not going to share my losses, why do you want me to share my wins with you? If I campaign and I lose, I take all my losses. If I happen to win, why should I give you some of my winning? But, I mean, this, I don't know, winner takes all, Bishop. Yes.
Well, I think, Nana, we should follow best practices. You know, there are a lot of best practices around our world. The problem with Ghana, and for that matter, most of African countries, is the lack of strengthening our institutions. And because we have refused to strengthen our institutions, the institutions are spineless. They are not able to bite. They are not able to ensure that things are done well. And it's all about the Constitution. You cannot give entire power to one man called the president. And therefore, the president decides everything, appoint all the boards, appoint all the various units of government and what have you. And I think that is the beginning of our woes, and that's the beginning of our problems. We should attack the Constitution and give some meaning to the people, give power to the people. It is the people that elect the president, and the president acts on behalf of the people. So I think it's one of the things I think either civil society, including religious organizations, should start launching a campaign. Let's go back to our Constitution, identify the bottlenecks and the issues that are hindering our effectiveness and development in governance, and begin to address them. Because this idea of winner takes all hasn't helped our country. But you see, it leads to the benefit of the political leaders. And so it is a selfish gain. They like it. And therefore, they are not ready to change that. But nothing can happen if civil society will keep slipping. Civil society should be extremely active and demand that let us attack this and solve and bring that change.
So you are for reducing the powers of the president?
Extremely, it is very important, because the entire power can lie in his hands. He decides who become IGP. He decides, the NADMO boss. He decides who are the council of governors for universities. That is too much for a president. I think I'm told from statistics, when you come into government, there are about over 5,000 jobs available for party faithfuls. That should not be the job of president to appoint people like that. At least we give credit for our president who wants to launch the idea of electing our mayors or district chief executives. That is a great step. That should be the beginning of dismantling this winner-take-all concept and then give power to the people.
Reverend, what do you think, Paul? I mean, winner takes all.
Yeah, and it's not the making of one political party. It's not the making of NDC or MPP. No. It's a constitutional thing. The legal framework, constitution that we have carved for ourselves. And interestingly, when the previous administration embarked on constitutional review, that side, they didn't touch it. They didn't touch it. Now the point is, when a party is in government, they are happy with winner takes all. When they are opposition, they start crying, we are hungry. So when they are in opposition, they want space. When they are in government, now, like you're saying, all top security officers have been appointed. They have been changed. Some were in office for 6 months. Now all of them have been cleared. University boards. You were talking about NADMO. Talk about even wash toilets. Toll booths. So, now even lorry parks. You get people who go and say our party is in power. You see? And moving forward, especially our fight, the corruption fight. Now you hear public prosecutor, and I think our government must be a bit slow in the way they are hyping public prosecutors. Like now the public prosecutor will come and all those who have stolen our money, And when I hear that, it's like the thieves are behind us. Do we have thieves with us? And what would be the role of the public prosecutor, the corrupt officers today? You see, it's that now we see the corrupt ones when a system is behind us. And to strengthen our institution, the check and balances, we must get to a point where at least we spread power in this country. At the moment, it's like the former administration, that's where the corrupt people were. But there may also be corrupt people in the current administration. But now it is young party people. So you cover my back also. So you see real things when a system is behind us. But this one, we pray and hope that the new administration will embark on constitutional review processes. And we should be bold enough, even though it worked well for the government, sitting government. But we should be able to say that, for instance, why should government be appointing IGPs and service commanders? It should be, they should serve a term. I pray and hope that we'll get to a point that IGP, prison director generals, if it's 3 years in office, 3 years, whether party what appointed you or what, you serve your term so that they will have some level of security and protection.
Yeah.
Now, even university boards, universities are supposed to have independent. At a point, some individuals were going to court because their universities did not have board. Now, even there are boards that have made serious decisions, but you realize that the boards were not existing. And you also said, who made that decision? You see, so we must get to a point where, as a nation, we must address winner takes all. But it worked well for those in power.
That's exactly what my question is. That it's like I've been struggling. I've tried my luck. I've paid money, and it cost money to get there. And now you're telling me, well, just leave the IGP be, just leave him be, just leave that be. But how do I pay all the people who got me there?
Nana, I think our President Nana Akufo-Addo has a very golden opportunity. One, for coming out with this lofty vision and the idea of electing district chief executives. That also is a constitutional issue, which they are going to work towards that. And I believe that it's a golden opportunity for him to deal with other constitutional issues that are, affecting our national development, and this winner takes all. It will be the greatest legacy he can leave to this country if he's able to launch some of these constitutional reforms. He believes in the rule of law. He's a great apostle in the rule of law and good governance. He should leave a quality legacy that posterity can remember him.
Also, a party brought you here.
Yes.
Now, when the party was bringing you, he printed, postcards, he printed T-shirts, he transported the supporters and everything. And then you get there and you say, I'm a rule of law. Rule of law? When did you realize rule of law?
You see, our democracy is maturing. And as we move forward, we must, like in the Bible, it says, when I was a child, I behaved like this. And as I grow, yes, at a point, yes. But moving forward, something must be done differently. Yes, your party brought you into government, but you are in government to serve the people.
But you need to retain the party.
Right. You are not here to pay your party faithfuls. And that is why they must also be careful how they spend money and the promises they give. You are here to serve the people called Ghanaians, the nation called Ghana. You are not here to satisfy party faithful. And please, our politicians must get that right. Those who help you to be in power must understand that you are not there to satisfy their needs. And that is why we're having problem. And now MPP is having problem, for all of them, having problem with their boys, vigilante groups. Because it's like, now we are in power. Give me something. Now. I can't even wait. But they can go to that extent because of the promises they have given to them. That when we come to power, you get this laptop, you get that. But that is a wrong notion. You come into government to serve the national interest, not party interest. And maybe, Nana, before we get out of this place, there's this issue again that we must as a nation draw attention to. The fact that over the years, there had been tension between church and state or religious bodies. There are those, because of the topic we are discussing, assessing, sometimes some of our politicians give impression that church leaders and other religious leaders are their enemies. You see, we are not at war. We are in together. You are in government. We are with the people. We give you feedback. Every Sunday the people are with us. Our politicians must allow civil society group, faith-based organization to reflect the realities in society. And when we do that, we shouldn't be seen as enemies.
So let me go to, I think you always said something about the table with the 4 legs.
Yes.
Well, you said the table had 2, now we have to add traditional leaders and
religious
leaders.
Because that is the only way if government will have to be effective in any policy implementation and vision implementation. Because you see, you can go to the remotest part of any village. You may not find a hospital there.
No post office.
No post office. But you will find a traditional leader and you'll find a church or a mosque. That tells you that they are covered, they are all over around our nation. And these are the people that are agents of change. The job of the religious, the faith-based organizations and traditional leaders is to bring change and improve the lives of the people. Any smart government will take advantage of these established institutions and partner with them and launch out programs, that whatever program you want to launch out, especially this monthly sanitation program under the previous government. It didn't succeed because one government thought of, well, their party was in power, they will implement it. Then the other group said, well, let's stand and see. Now this new government has come and nobody is pursuing that. You can only succeed if you engage these 2 sectors. I will appeal to government. Make sure let's have the tables with the 4 legs. Private sector, public sector, faith sector, and the traditional sector to bring effective change and attitudinal change in our country.
Bishop, let me stay with you before we go. I mean, any programs lined up since it's your birthday? Since it's your birthday, any programs lined up yet?
Well, you see, that's one of the things as a gift to the country,
Yeah.
you know. And well, they will do some Thanksgiving service, and then also the 36 years of anniversary would be done in October to ensure that you know, the years of ministry have done for me for the nation. So that is one of the things that I would like to do, and that's what they will want to do for me.
Yes.
20 seconds.
Yes, let me use your platform to commend government for the launching of the One Factory, One District today. And then also, at least, Dumso, where I live, there has been tremendous improvement. But I think moving forward, government must sustain public confidence, else the factories that we will set up may collapse. Ghanaians must patronize made in Ghana goods to make the factories work.
Thank you very much. That was assessing government from the pulpit. Two heavyweights, as I promised you, Reverend Oponifrimpong and Bishop Samuel Mensah. Watch this after News File. Thank you very much for watching.